It's the moment you've all been waiting for, or at least that I've been waiting for, because I'm ready to get working on this thing. But this is my new project car. So, a couple things I want to go over. What is it? How'd I get it? Because I know that question's going to get asked. What am I going to do to it? And when am I going to have it done? So, first things first. This is a 2014 Holden Commodore wagon, directly from Australia. Right-hand drive. Beautiful wagon glory practicalness. And I just love it. It's fantastic. It is base model Evoque trim, which means it's got a V6, 6L45 transmission. It's sitting on 16, so it's like super extra base model. It does have most of the creature comforts that I'd care about, so that's fine. It's not like it's missing a radio or AC or anything. But let's do a little walk around of the car before I answer any other questions, and then, I don't know, maybe it'll make you like it. It doesn't look super exciting right now, but it will, and that's the journey you're here for. This bad boy's got 238,000 kilometers on it, which is roughly 140,000 miles. That means the interior is a little beat up. I think especially because this was probably someone's work vehicle, given the set of roof racks that were on it were definitely holding a ladder. And the interior trim panels in the back hatch area are pretty beat up. The steering wheel also pretty disintegrated. Luckily, I can get a replacement for that. That's not a big deal. A lot of the other interior trim, I think, is going to get cleaned up, painted, or reupholstered for a lot of the cloth stuff to match what I'm going to do to the outside. But this thing is pretty all right for being a base model. Driving on the right-hand side, pretty weird. Feel like you're going to crash a lot because the other cars are right here. You're normally a little bit farther away with, like, when you're in the left lane. But you really just have to, like, drive on, the lane marker on the right side, which is just kind of weird. Like, the way back from Indianapolis, I was definitely in 2 lanes for most of it. The biggest issue that I ran into, though, is that they switched the turn signal and the wiper stock from where it is on left-hand drive. So every time I would go to change lanes, I'd turn the wipers on, and that's obnoxious. There's probably a way to swap that out, but I don't think that's something I can't get used to, so not a huge deal. But interior-wise, it's kind of plain. Black carpet. It's got some pleated-looking rubber mats. The seats are in pretty decent shape. The console dash setup, this is all stuff I make a bunch of parts for already on the website, so I can easily redo a lot of that. But I think the cool thing, for me at least, because it's a wagon, is the trunk. So let's check that out. Look at how incredible this is. So much space, so much room for activities. Look at this. Look at this. Just like, look at this. It's fantastic. I can store so much stuff in here, but it's going to be like a show car / fun high horsepower thing, so I probably won't store that much stuff in it, but I could, and I think that's awesome. Clearly, there's some stuff flinging around in here that I need to fix. These are missing some things I can 3D print to hold them in. The carpet in here is pretty toast. This is pretty beat up. There's like scratches all along it. The wiper, the door seal is kind of beat up. Yeah, definitely was used as a work vehicle. I think there's a bunch of holes in the headliner, so I'm going to have to redo that. But yeah, that's the interior of this thing. Practical. Should be my middle name. That's not true. But anyways, let's look at the outside. Because this is a base model, it doesn't really look great bumper-wise. Or grill-wise. It's really nothing to write home about. Pretty depressing looking. The bumper gap's pretty bad. Also, the bumper's definitely been repainted with spray paint. Not in a good way. There's also a pretty big crack over there, and this headlight is barely attached. The headlight's kind of a big disappointment, but otherwise, this is all getting replaced when I tell you what we're going to do to it. And by we, I mean me. But let's pop the hood and look underneath. The rest of this, just a white wagon. Nothing super exciting yet. Under the hood, Nothing exciting either. This is GM's V6. They shove in everything. And everything they shove it in, eventually it explodes because the timing chains let go. Not great. I don't want that. I was going to get rid of it anyway, but you know, it's just more reason to. The wild thing though is it's insanely clean under here. There's like no dirt at all. I don't know if they just pressure washed it before they sold it or what, but this is pretty nuts. Like there's no, my hands are already kind of dirty from working today, but like there's nothing under here. That's a spider web. That's actually kind of scary because Australia. But a lot of room for activities. I already know Gen 4 LS fits. Oops, giving it away a little bit, but that's what's going to go in here, and that's what's going to replace this bad boy. And maybe that's a good place to start with what I'm going to do to it. I'm going to get rid of this V6. It's going to get a Gen 4 LS. The 6L45, which I don't even know what else they put that in, is going to get replaced with a 10L80 or a 90, TBD right now. But Gen 4 LS, 10 speed. Replace this nice little plastic cover with one that goes wee, which means it's gonna get an LSA supercharger on top with my IPF branded supercharger lid. So that's gonna be pretty sick. And then underneath the hood outside of the motor, I really wanna just clean this up and do like a nice wire tuck-ish. I think you're gonna have some different ECU setup stuff. The ABS module, I think I'm gonna try to relocate, fuse box, relocate, stuff like that. But I really wanna clean it up and make it really, really nice under here. Also because it's gonna be supercharged, it's gonna get an inner chiller, which actually that setup is currently on the Tahoe. I never used it, so I'm gonna pull it out and put it in here. And so I'll have a water pump for the supercharger. And so I'm gonna make a custom tank that does, or that has a catch can, a breather for the crankcase, and the reservoir for the supercharger all in one. And I think that'll be a pretty fun project for sure. So that's what's gonna happen under the hood and powertrain wise. Let's talk about what's gonna happen to the suspension. I know I don't look like a monster, but this thing is definitely monster truck height. It's got these 16s that have like an 80-inch sidewall, and that's just an exaggeration. I know how to actually check the size of the sidewall. But this gap here, gotta go. Can't have that, I'm not a fan. I'm gonna put some 20s on it, that's for sure. Whether I make 3-piece custom 20s or I buy some really cool 20s is to be determined. And I think that will be determined by basically how long I have to do this project. But I wanna put it on airbags. Unfortunately, there's not a kit that really fits specifically that's easy to get. I can do a coil to bag conversion, so I can get coilovers and then put airbag sleeves on them. That does mean I have to make, either way, I have to make an air tank and air compressor setup, and I think that's gonna go in the spare tire well in the trunk. Do you call it a trunk in a wagon? In the hatch? In the wagatch? I don't know, that's a good question. Anyways, 20s, drop this thing on the ground, and then we gotta figure out how to make it not look like a base model station wagon from Australia that was used as a utility vehicle and probably blended in as such. So how am I gonna do that? Well, I'm pretty good at 3D scanning and modeling-ish, this kind of thing, and then printing. So I think I'm gonna put all three of those things together, and I'm gonna make a custom wide body kit for this. And that's gonna be a lot of work. But I'm gonna completely redo the front bumper, which is why I said it didn't really matter that it was cracked. So that means a whole new grille. And I can package a bunch of like the inner chiller stuff I was talking about in there and some of the relocated engine bay stuff down underneath behind said new bumper that doesn't look so boring. Wide body is gonna go all the way around. So big fender flares that are gonna be kind of like DTM race car style, I think, so pretty open in the back. We'll do some side skirts because you gotta connect the front and the back wheel arches for sure. And then this thing has like a tiny little baby spoiler, and we're gonna make it less of a baby spoiler with some cool LEDs integrated, so that way the third brake light is a lot cooler. That is gonna take a serious amount of effort, and then once it's 3D printed, and glued together. I'm gonna have to skin it in like fiberglass or carbon and make it all one big piece and make it not just fall apart every time I hit something. But that's a big amount of work. And so is the suspension, and so is the engine swap, and all the interior cleanup. And then I'm gonna wrap the outside so that way it brings everything together, and that way it's not plain boring white also. But that brings me to, I don't know which point I'm on, the timeline. How did I get this here? It's Australian. It's right-hand drive. They didn't make that here. How'd you get that here? I bought it sight unseen, Facebook Marketplace in Australia. A buddy helped orchestrate that and orchestrate with the shipping company, Cheetah Imports. They pick up the car, put it on a boat, sits on a boat for 2 months, sits on a train for a week, sits in a semi-truck for a couple days, and then boom, shows up at Cheetah Imports in Indianapolis. That's why this trip happened. And then it's here. Gotta figure out how to do some paperwork, find somebody that's done it before, don't ask me, and then you're good to go. Timeline to get suspension, interior, engine swap, 3D printed wide body kit, final wrap. Oh, I'm also going to do a big brake kit. That's a lot of stuff. And I'm going to do it in 4 months because the reason I found this car and the reason I even wanted to find this car is because my buddy Travis Bell has an event in Indianapolis every year. It's a huge Holden meet. As a vendor and sponsor, I've been there the last 2 years, and I've gotten to sit in a bunch of utes and a bunch of wagons. And I used to have a Caprice, and I miss it. It's a good car. And this one is even cooler and even better. Well, it's going to be. My plan is to unveil it at that event this year, which is Labor Day weekend. If you can do math, I can sometimes do it. That's pretty much exactly 4 months from now. So a lot of work to do, also to film and edit and post and merch, and also do all of the work that pays for all of this normally. It's going to be a lot, and it's going to be a roller coaster, and I hope you're along for the ride. So definitely like, follow, subscribe, whatever. Get some merch. It's coming. And yeah, this is going to be a sweet project. So that's it. I'm Zach. IPF, Wagon, Australia, right-hand drive. Thanks for watching.